Hello and welcome to this Blender tips and tricks tutorial. In this tutorial I would like to show you how to change the direction of normals when you are using a 2D shape and extruding it into a 3D object. I posted a question at the Blender artists forums regarding this, and in the process of hearing their responses and playing around in Blender, this is Blender 249B, I figured out what's going on, so I want to share that with you. I'm deleting the cube, I'm pressing spacebar, and I'm adding a plane. I'm pressing tab and I'm pressing A to deselect, and I am shift clicking on these three vertices, just leaving me one. And I'm pressing X and I am deleting the vertices, leaving me one single vertex, and I'm pressing numpad 1. Now if I was to change where the origin point is, whether I put it below or above, it wouldn't make a difference. It also doesn't make a difference what view I am in when I do this. That doesn't make any difference either. And you can't press Control in and recalculate the normals on your extruded object. That won't work. And you can't flip the normals. And in fact, there isn't even any real normals. There's vertex normals, but not face normals. And I'll demonstrate this right now. So I'm going to go over here to F9, Editing, and I'm going to use my scroll wheel and scroll this over. And I'm going to click on Draw Normals and draw V Normals, which is vertex normals. And I want to change this to, say, 0.5. We don't want it to be too distracting. So we're going to zoom in here, and you can see a little line now, if I press A, coming up off of this. And at 0.5 Blender units, you can see this little line coming up off of this. I'm going to click on this again, and I want to make a set of stairs. So I'm just going to randomly do some clicking over here. I'm going to press and hold Control and right click and just do this. Okay, I'm going to press Shift S, no I'm not, I'm going to press A twice, then Shift S, then Selection of Grid, and then I'm going to press A because I'm picky. I'm going to put some things here, press and hold Control, grab, excuse me, something is not, oh okay, Shift C, I didn't press grab. And we're putting these right on the grid so they're easier for me to work with and deal with. So if we look now, we have these vertex normals are the only ones drawn, and you can see where what they're doing. They're all pointing slightly down and to one side. Hopefully you can see that pretty clearly. To emphasize this point, I can press A again twice so they're all selected. I can go over here to the orientation menu, and I can click on normal and take a look at where the orientation is pointing. It's pointing down and to one side. As best as I can tell, that is because I have extruded these, and you can see it follows where I went. You can see that it follows the direction that my cursor basically was going when I, not exactly, but the average direction or something. But when I extrude these, this was being done in a negative direction, and so that makes it these normals to point to the side and down. And so now when I press numpad 7, and I just take this, I want to move it over, oh I don't know, towards the center a little bit, so I'm going to grab and go over here, and I'm just going to right click over here, Control right click, and Shift S and Selection of Grid. When I extrude this now, I don't have to go into face mode to show this to you. You can see that all of our face normals are now pointing down and to the, I guess you could say, outside. What we would want in a video game, we would want those to be pointing up and to the inside. And this might have a bearing when we wanted to put textures on this as well. So this thing that we see here going on with our vertex normals is showing us what's going to happen with our face normals when we extrude this 2D object to a 3D shape. Pressing Ctrl Z. Alright, what happens though if I decide to extrude in a positive direction? Okay, so pressing A, clicking here, and now we're going to extrude up and to the side. So pressing and holding Control, and we'll just do this, say, 4 times. And I'm going to go ahead and press A and then B and B and box select, and Shift S and selection of grid. And I only got a couple here to adjust. But hopefully you can already tell that our vertices are pointing up and to the side. And our orientation is the same direction. So if I press A and select everything and press numpad 7, and I just go here and I press and hold Control and G and move it down and Shift S, selection of grid. Now if I go in and I look at the face normals, these 4 that I just did, that I extruded up and to the side, are now facing up and inwards, which is what we would want if we were to use this in a video game or to try to texture this. So you can control the direction of your eventual face normals by figuring out which way your vertex normals are going to face. And you do that by making sure that when you are doing your extrusions, that you're doing them in a positive direction. And what do I mean by that? Well, let me explain. Pressing Control Tab, Faces, clicking on this face here. If I'm to extrude this face along the Z-axis, so E, Z, and I press 2, you see that it goes straight up. So if I go here to numpad 1, Control Z, I've got a, E, Z, I forgot that I have to, I'll just say 1, confirm it. Pressing numpad 1. Okay, what happened to my extrusion? Okay, Control Z, E. Okay, so you'll see that now I have actually moved up in a positive Z direction. So this direction, although it's showing it, no, it's showing it as Z right now, this is positive Z. Okay, and if I am to press on one of these faces here, now in this case I can't control, I don't believe, the axis. So I said E and X, it just does that, and I don't know why. But E is already extruding, and this is along the, I can't read my little dialog, but I think this is the X-axis. If I press 2, because I know it's a positive number, it's the same thing. This is a positive direction. So extruding this way and this way is extruding in a positive direction, which is how my faces are now being affected and coming out in a positive direction. What if I was in numpad 3? What if I was in a completely and totally different view? Okay. Well, we're pretty sure positive is going to be up this way and probably going to be this way. So let's see if we're right. Control Tab and vertices. And we're just clicking on that one, and we're just going to do a real quick sloppy control. We're not trying to make any kind of a mesh here. Just a few to kind of get an idea. And what we see here is that, again, the vertices are showing up because we moved in a positive direction, or going up and to the side. So now if I take those few vertices and I box select them, I don't know what kind of a messy mesh we're going to get here, but if I right click and extrude, I don't even know if it matters which direction. Let's Control extrude. We're going to go this way first. Okay, Control Z. That's really messy. How about this way? It's going to be messy no matter what I do. Okay, excuse me. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is, oh, I have an extra thing here too. Okay, well, we don't want those. That's the problem. Okay. So numpad 7 and now right clicking and holding control right clicking. Okay, we're still not getting well, that's not a problem. Grab and control, because I just want to extrude these and not have a mess of my mesh. So pressing and holding control right clicking. Okay, that's a little better. Now we can see what we're doing here, and we see that our faces are pointing up indeed like we expected. And pressing control Z, and at the risk of making a mess, I'm going to try going over this way. And I can't even determine what was going on there, so probably the best way to do that would be to grab it and to just move it like way over here where it can't be affected by anything, and controlling going over this way. Okay, so if you extrude again in a negative direction, it's again going to put the normals that you had down. You see they're facing down now because we extruded in a negative direction. This is negative X and this is negative Y. So if you always extrude in a positive direction, your normals will always be facing up and inside. So your normals will always be in a, I guess you could say, positive direction. Well, that concludes this Blender tips and tricks tutorial. I hope you found the information useful. I know I have.